Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. I am mad for this gentleman that we have on the show today. I actually met him and had the privilege of speaking with him probably a couple years ago now. His name is Cory Lee, and he has a spectacular story to share. Some really exciting things that are happening in his life that we will definitely get to. So without further ado, Cory, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mindy. It's good to see you again, and thank you for having me.
So good to see you. So, Cory, let's start from the beginning, which I always like to do. Can you tell us a little bit about your disability?
Yeah, so at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy type 2. And for anyone watching that maybe doesn't know exactly what that is, it is a degenerative muscle wasting condition. So I don't have the same abilities now that I had when I was 2. So really kind of the most steps that I was ever to take was about 8 steps. And that was when I was like 2 and 3 years old. And then from there on, it progressively got worse. And so now I do rely on a power wheelchair full time. And so growing up, I was like in all mainstream classes and really had to fight to like get put in those mainstream classes.
You
And
had
so
to fight to get to those? You had to
yeah,
fight to be included?
yeah, every year it was a
Wow.
debacle in school. Like they wanted to put me into special education classes, and I really had to fight just to be in normal like everyday classes with all of my peers. Because I mean, my brain isn't affected at all. It's really just my muscles.
And that's
And
so interesting to me because I'm curious, what were they fighting you about? Because physically it was challenging for you?
well, I did have to have a one-on-one care attendant
Mm-hmm.
throughout school, and they didn't want to have to pay for a care attendant. So they said that if I was in special education, then the teacher would be doing everything and helping me out instead of the one-on-one care attendant. So it was really all about the money.
I know. I'm so sad to say that that generally is what it's all about, but certainly in this perspective, that it was easier, right, for them to just put you in that bucket. And I can really empathize with that because Oliver, my son, has muscular dystrophy, and he also, his brain is top notch. Like he is absolutely, and he is in typical school. I did not have the same experiences that you did. Thankfully, our school district is amazing, but there wasn't even an option. Like I didn't even think about putting him in any, special classes because yes, physically we had to make accommodations for him to be, in the mainstream system, but yet cognitively it's exactly where he needed to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of parents, when they're just like getting into school, like unless they are a major advocate for their kid, I mean, they do get put, in those special education classes, which I mean, they're fantastic classes.
Amazing.
I mean, people need them, but if you're not cognitively affected, then there's no need for you to be in there separated from your peers. And I guess I just learned from that to really be my own advocate from an early age. And that's kind of stuck with me throughout my life, I think.
I think so too, especially because that's kind of foreshadowing of what we're going to be speaking about. But how was it in terms of, you're in mainstream school with the friends? Like, did they just know you as Cory? Like, talk to us a little bit about that part of
I was really fortunate to go to school with the same kids, like all the way from kindergarten through to high school. And so since I did, meet them when I was like 4 and 5 years old, they really did see me as just Cory. And I feel like most of them didn't see the wheelchair.
it.
So I think it's really just because I stuck with the same group, same kids all the way through the entirety of school. And I think, if I was like going to a different county, to a different school system in high school, it would have been a whole different situation.
Right.
I guess I was really lucky in that regard.
And do you think that, how old are you now?
I'm 30.
30.
Yeah.
Oh, 30 is a good age. 30s are awesome.
I
Do you think that the policies and processes have gotten better since when you were in school?
I mean, I'm really not sure, but I think there's still a long way to go in general as far as like the ADA goes and accessibility laws. So as far as like school specifically, I'm not sure, but in regards to the ADA, I think there could definitely be some improvements made overall.
I agree with you. And so then what happened after high school? What happened next?
Yeah, so after high school, I grew up in a really small town in Georgia. And so I was like determined to get as far away as I could and like see more of the world. So I moved to Washington, D.C. and
Mm.
went to the George Washington University. I majored in international affairs, but I ended up getting a degree in marketing because I realized, I want to get as far away from politics as possible. And so, yeah. So I did get a marketing degree, and then that's kind of where I started hunting for jobs and trying to, figure all of that out. And I would go into like job interviews, and that's where I definitely encountered some discrimination. So the employers would look at me, and like as soon as I went into the interview, I could tell that they only saw the wheelchair and they didn't see me at all. And so when I went into one interview, I remember it was like one of the first ones I went to, and he said, as soon as he saw me, he said, "Well, this job involves a lot of traveling, so you wouldn't be a good fit."
Mm.
And at that moment, I thought, I'm going to show him. And so then I started traveling a lot and started the travel blog Curb Free with Cory Lee. And it's really just expanded by leaps and bounds since then.
Yeah, I definitely want to spend a lot of time on that. But let's go back to the biases because I'm curious. Um, do you think if they knew in advance, did they know in advance that you had a disability?
They did. I
They
did tell
did. So that didn't even help. It wasn't even
them.
that they were
Oh,
surprised or.
yeah, when I got there, I was kind of like, well, why did I even come? I mean, if it's going to be like this and you knew it ahead of time, then why am I even here? And that was an interview actually in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I flew up there from Atlanta all the way to Pittsburgh just for these job interviews, and then that's how it went. So it was I don't really know where the mix up was or what the deal was, but yeah, it didn't go well.
Well, I think that is something so important to kind of discuss and bring to the light of day because you were judged.
Right.
There's definitely a stigma to what you were in a wheelchair, so clearly you would not be able to do some of the things that other candidates would be able to do, at least from their perspective.
Right.
Obviously, prove them wrong, but I want us, certainly Gamut Network and Gamut Management to really focus on that people with disabilities are just people. They are job candidates, they are world travelers, they are authors, they're everything that you could possibly imagine. And I think that you completely embody that. So, you know what? Their loss that they didn't get to hire you and that you weren't a part of their company. Did you wind up working at a different company?
No, so after that, I kind of just graduated college and started Curb Free with Cory Lee almost immediately. So I kind of just drove right into it 100%. And I told myself that when I started Curb Free with Cory Lee, I would give myself 1 year. And at the end of that year, if I was like making any money from it, then I would stick with it. And if I wasn't, then I would go try to find a job again in advertising or marketing. And so at the end of that year, I actually spoke at the Abilities Expo, which I know that you've been to several times.
Yes, yes. And
And
actually, we're just a part of their virtual
yeah, yeah, I
expo.
saw
It
that.
was amazing. And actually, David Course, the CEO, was on the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And so I spoke at Abilities Expo like almost 1 year exactly after I started Curb Free. And in the audience was the travel editor of the Los Angeles Times. And I didn't know that she was going to be there. And after the show, she came up to me and she said that she loved my speech and she really enjoyed it and she wanted to interview me for 2 articles in the LA Times. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And so in the next few weeks, those articles came out, and that's really when the blog started kind of taking off and it started gaining traction. So it's like the universe heard me say like 1 year, and then on that mark of a
Ah,
year is when
I
it
love
finally
that.
started taking. Yeah,
I love
it
that.
was.
Now, can you just maybe describe to our viewers exactly, what the blog is, what your intention, at least from starting it was, and maybe now where it is today, how it's grown?
Yeah, so back in 2013, when I was just starting the blog, I really got online because I was researching a trip to Australia, and I noticed that there really wasn't a lot of information in regards to accessibility within Australia. And there really were only a couple other wheelchair accessible travel blogs out there. And I wanted to create a resource where I could talk about all of the places that I had traveled to, and the places that the other accessible travel blogs out there weren't really, didn't really have any info on. And so that's kind of where the idea was born back in December of 2013. And so it's been about 6.5 years now, and I still always try to remember my why, and why I started is to hopefully inspire other wheelchairs around the world to get out there and break out of their comfort zone and see the world and have some fun adventures along the way.
Absolutely. And but what I love about it is that it's bigger than just wheelchair users because, for example, my Oliver is not in a wheelchair, but he, struggles with walking long distances or uneven paths, or so I use it, also as a guide, because anything that would be safe for a wheelchair would be safe for him.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that it's really so much bigger in who it can help, and also even the elderly, right?
Yeah.
Those that still want to travel but need to be safe, need to think about, steps or certain ways. Like, for example, we went to Israel a few years ago, and I should have done more research. I should have called you. It was probably before we even met, about it, because he definitely struggled with it. Happens to have a lot of stairs. It's very old, city, Jerusalem, whatnot. So he struggled with being able to navigate it, and I'm sure you would have had better ways or things for me to think about and whatnot. So I think your reach is extremely broad.
Yeah, thanks. And another market that I often hear from is families with baby strollers.
Oh
Because
yeah, good
if a
one.
wheelchair can go, then a stroller can go. So it makes it
Yes.
100 times easier for them.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. So where is the most exciting place you've been? Where's your favorite
Ah,
place?
I'm probably going to have to say Morocco.
Mm.
So, I mean, Israel is definitely in the top three. It's one of my favorites for sure. But I would say Morocco. When I was there, I visited Marrakesh and saw the snake charmers, and went through the alleyways, and it's actually pretty accessible, surprisingly. And then I went out into the Sahara Desert, and I was able to ride a camel with an adaptive camel saddle, and
Oh my
I
God.
used an off-road wheelchair to explore a UNESCO site. And Morocco was just kind of one of those places I'd never even really thought about going to. And then after I went, I was like, everyone needs to come here. It is incredible.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love the adaptive. I mean, that's very, I would imagine, for the places that you've been, probably fairly progressive in
Oh
their
yeah.
adaptive accommodations.
Yeah. The adaptive camel saddle was actually made by two therapists, and they are from America, but they now live in Morocco. And they launched a whole tour company that specializes in accessibility within
Oh,
Morocco. So
amazing.
they've really taken it to another level
Fantastic.
now.
And do you have an airline that you prefer to fly on that happens to be more accessible than the others?
I mean, I really think all of the airlines need a lot of work.
Hmm.
Um, but the one that I'm more loyal to is Delta. And I am based near Atlanta. So, Atlanta is Delta's hub. And
Hmm.
so they have more nonstops to anywhere than any other airline. And so that's really kind of the only reason why I'm so loyal to Delta. But I have gotten to know like the crew in Atlanta that works for Delta over the years, because I do fly a lot, and so they, know exactly like how to transfer me into the aisle chair, and
Love that.
they're pros at it now. So
Well, actually, we're going to give definitely a shout out to Delta anyway, because they work with gamut management often in getting people with disabilities to be in their in-flight videos or their
awesome.
commercials. They are really, really putting effort behind being an airline that, suits people with disabilities, cares about people with disabilities, and is putting an effort in that. So we're really honored and excited to work with them. So I'm happy to hear it from your perspective also.
Yeah.
And also, which I fortunately just found out prior to our interview, there's something else very exciting about to happen in your life. You
Yeah.
are about to become an author.
I am. So on July 26th of this summer, I'm going to be launching or releasing my first children's book. It's called Let's Explore with Cory, and it's about a little kid in a wheelchair. I'll bring it into the frame now. You can see it.
Yeah, move it over a little bit more, not to cover your face, with Cory. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
So it's about a kid.
amazing.
Yeah, and every destination is a destination that I've actually been to. And so I hope that, children can read it and they know that these are all places that they can actually go and they are accessible. So I'm super excited for that to come out next month.
Do you want to read a little excerpt from the book to get everybody
Yeah,
excited?
I'd love to read. You're the first person I've ever read an
Yeah,
excerpt.
I love being the first.
So I'll read like the first 2 or 3 pages if that's okay.
Absolutely. I just want to get people excited.
Yeah. So we can put it in the frame, I guess. Let's do the first 2 pages.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So this is Cory. Cory is not able to walk, but this doesn't stop him from traveling the world.
I love it. I love the illustrator.
Yeah, thank you. Cory uses a wheelchair to move himself around, but don't think for a minute that he is wheelchair bound. He loves to roll fast as he travels to a new place. Speeding around the globe puts a big smile upon his face.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Thank you. Cory can fly in an airplane with birds all around.
Beautiful.
And we'll do one more page.
Okay. Yeah, we got to finish the rhyme.
Yeah. Cory can ride on a train all through the town.
Amazing. Cory, this is fantastic. And I'm sure so many families out there are going to be incredibly grateful for this book. Can you tell everyone where they can go to purchase it, please?
Yeah, so it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's currently available to pre-order, and then it will release on July 26th.
So exciting. So exciting. And can you share again, please, your blog where everybody can go to see that?
Yeah, so my blog is curbfreewithcorylee.com, and you can also find me on Facebook or on Instagram at curbfreecorylee.
Great. And that's Cory, everybody, Lee.
Yep.
Just so we can have, because I'm sure everybody's going to be very excited to go peruse the blog. But before we go, I like to ask all of my guests one final question, and that's about the power of a vision board, which, by the way, you seem to already have managed. Whether that is an actual board or something that you keep in your head and your heart of what you want to accomplish in this lifetime, or who you want to meet, or how you want to leave your mark on this earth. Again, I think you've already nailed a lot of it, but what if we got to peek onto Cory's vision board, what would we see?
I love vision boards, so this is like the perfect question. So my ultimate dream and goal is to get a TV show that focuses on me traveling the world as a wheelchair user, because there's not really any wheelchair users on TV, especially in a power chair. And I think that, having a travel show showing like me breaking barriers and going to like India or Morocco or Israel or all of these places that people think, is not accessible. I think that would really change a lot of perceptions. And that's kind of like my whole goal. So that's the ultimate dream.
I
But
love
I would say if I could meet anyone, it would be a tie between Ellen and Oprah. So
it.
those
Oh,
are my.
fantastic. Both of them are on my vision board, so that works out great.
Okay.
So when I meet them, you'll come with me, or
Awesome.
I'll come with you. Let's see who gets there first.
Okay.
But also, which I think our vision boards are related, because a part of my vision board is that I want this show to be an actual talk show on a network.
Yep.
So let's have you on as like one of our first guests. Somebody's going to see you. They're going to say, we must start a travel channel featuring Cory. And then you go do your thing. So it's perfect. It all works out great.
Sounds perfect to me. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I love it. Done. Amazing. Cory, thank you so much for being on the show. It was so wonderful to see you. I always love hearing and reading about what you're doing. You are a trailblazer, for sure.
Well, thank you so much. You are too. So it was really good to see you again.
Thank you. And bye, Mom. Thank you for being a part of the interview.
Yeah, she said bye.
Bye. Thank you. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com to tell us why you'd be a great guest. Please also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more interviews, as well as follow us on our social channels at Gamut Management. Thank you again, Cory.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.